the recording had paused. Not sure what's going on, but maybe we could just give a few minutes back.
All right. Let's give like maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then I'm gonna resume the presentation. Yeah. Thanks.
Apologies, everyone. It seems like we're having some technical issues. If you know any colleagues who are having trouble connecting, please share the event details with them, and we'll take it back up in a couple of minutes. Again, sorry about the interruption, everyone. We're not sure what happened here, but yeah, I'm glad most of you were able to connect again. I shared a link in the chat to this WebEx room. If you know any of your colleagues are having any issues connecting, please share the link with them. And meanwhile, I think we can resume the session again. Yeah, so Brendra, whenever you're ready, please go ahead and I'll resume the recording too.
Thank you so much, Min. So let me actually resume the presentation. Here we are. All right, so I hope you see my screen. And one thing that I want actually to say is that I know that Wes and Min also have had experience in using Power BI. So please come up in case if I'm actually forgetting anything or if you want to emphasize on anything that I actually may need to explain more. So yeah, please come in whenever you should. All right. So I see that more people are joining the meeting. So let me actually then, continue the presentation. So what are the added value or what's the value added of actually when we're when using Power BI? And we talked about the, decision making about your business, and all through actually looking and developing those dashboard. And the Power BI also can ensure to all the colleagues that we are on the same page and viewing using the same information. That is also a very important point in decision making. And next, we can also create personalized view of larger dashboard and show all the metrics that matter to them. So we also have this ability actually to select which type of visualization we want to show to the audience or to the team. And the last but not least, also we can also use it to monitor the health of a business, if it's a business or anything related to the product or the project that you are actually working on. And you're also going to see that there are like a chart that we can use to actually monitor uh, your data set within across the time, for instance. So those are things that we can also do within Power BI. And let me go quickly to the next. And next is that we can also create stunning reports and visualization using Power BI desktop. But before actually talking about this, let me quickly go to the next slide, which is actually talking about the parts of Power BI. What are actually the components and part of Power BI? First, we have the Power BI desktop, which is the local version of Power BI. And this is, you can download it on your computer, and it is actually good to note here that this is only available on a PC, not Mac. But if you are a Mac user, there are always ways to actually like install emulator or some those type of application and then after you can always download and install this Power BI desktop on your computer. And what we can actually see within the Power BI desktop is we can have a full view of your data set, and also the full access into your data set, meaning that you can actually modify, edit, update anything that is in your data set. And again, the good thing about using Power BI is that it is actually not very much related to Power BI in a way that the data set that are stored in within Power BI won't change if you change the data set on your Power BI desktop. And next point, or the next, and I would say the biggest component is the visualization after the data set. So you need the data set to make visualization. And there are different types of types of graphs and visualization within Power BI that you can use. There are also tiles and frame. You can create as many tiles as possible, and of course, as many tiles and frame that are possible to fit within your screen when you actually create dashboard within Power BI. And there, of course, there is the report side. But what actually makes it different, and what makes it different to the Power BI service? So Power BI service is another type of Power BI component, but it is the cloud version or online service version of Power BI. And in this Power BI service, and I'm going to show you later, it's pretty much the same as Power BI desktop in terms of making the reports and dashboard and creating the different types of visualization, pretty much the same, but it's limited because of the fact that it's through cloud. So limited, but pretty much the same on actually the four first part of the Power BI service, the first four components. But what makes the Power BI service different from the Power BI desktop is actually the ability to share result. So through the Power BI desktop, you can publish the result, but you cannot share it to anyone. But when using the Power BI service, it is actually where you can share your dashboard to people to users within your organization or even outside of your organization. So that's the biggest, difference between the Power BI service and the Power BI the desktop. And of course, because it is a cloud version, so you will actually need to create an account. You can create an account for free, and once you have the account, you can have all of those different types of components of Power BI. And then there's also the Power BI Mobile, which is actually made purposely for visualizing data and accessing data. So once you create Power BI dashboard and reports through the Power BI desktop, then you can share it with your users, internal or external of your organization, through the Power BI service. And then once that's shared, you can access those reports and data set and different types of dashboard and visualization using the Power BI mobile. And the last components, there is also the Power BI for developers. I haven't used it myself, but there are actually ways to embed let's say maybe ArcGIS and Python and R, those type of script within Power BI also. So those are the four parts of Power BI. And of course, the last part, which is the Power BI for developer, is actually the customized version of Power BI, which is the same as the free or the Power BI desktop and Power BI service, but it is just it just has the way actually to embed codes. And maybe if you're familiar with JavaScript, for instance, and then you can definitely use those other visualization that already existed somewhere that you maybe developed, and you embed it within Power BI. So as you can see, Power BI is then a very flexible tool. You can connect Power BI with Kobo or any MIS or any other apps that has the API ability, actually, or the API yeah, uh, the API. Yeah, I lost the word, but but yeah, anything that has API, you can connect it to Power BI and then build dashboards, reports through Power BI. And let's go to the next. So this is, I already explained this to you actually. There's the Power BI desktop, Power BI service, and Power BI mobile, and this is how it relates. And this is how Power BI desktop actually looks, and then publish it through Power BI desktop, and you're gonna get it on the Power BI service. And then finally you're gonna see it. You can actually access it through the Power BI mobile. And next, as Power BI desktop, as you have seen, it is a very powerful tool to create dashboards and reports. So this is the workflow of how it works actually. First, there is the data preparation process, which is loading the data, and then yeah, pretty much loading the data. And there is actually the query editor uh, um, part of Power BI that you can use to edit data, as I mentioned, to modify, update anything that you want. And the second part is the data modeling. I think this is the biggest, because it is where you actually create the different types of visualization, and there is also relations and connection that you can actually make between the data set that you load into Power BI and the data view, of course, and the data visualization, which is the report view of it. So as you can see, Power BI is pretty much a full package when it comes to developing an entire dashboard and reports. All right, so next, quick overview of what are the components, or on like what you see actually on Power BI, and I'm going to show it to you through a live demonstration and of Power BI in a minute. But first, here on the first part of Power BI, which is the tile bar, very obvious and very straightforward, pretty much same as any Microsoft product. It's just the title of your file or of your project, and that's it. And you can also sign in, as you can see, and connect it with your Power BI service. On the second part, which is the view and the menu bar or ribbon. So that is pretty much again same as Excel or Word or any other Microsoft product that you're using, where you have those different section, and you can just see if you want to insert, for instance, any new visualization or anything, and you can go on the tab insert. And the third part, which is yeah. So the third part is actually where you see all the options, pretty much the same as the Excel. So let's go on the fourth part, which is it is divided by four. We're gonna see it. First is where you create the report, which is here, and then second we also have the next one. Here we have the data management part of it, and then after we have actually the section where you can actually make connection or relations between your data set. And on the part 5, this is where you are actually going to see different fields of your data sets. And for instance, you here it's saying that you haven't loaded any data yet. But once you load your data into Power BI, then you're going to have other tables here. And those are the different types of visualization. And we're going to go through it in a minute as well. And we also have the filters, which is, I think this is something that also Kobo is missing. And while Kobo has filters, but it's limited. But in this case, let's say that you actually have, for instance, and this has happened to me actually quite a lot when I worked on Power BI, which is that sometimes some people entered the location of a project through your computer, and as you know, in Keto, there is a way to actually edit the location, because you have to manually enter the location of your project when you collect the GPS location or coordinates of your project or of your submission. And then one thing that I've seen using this filter is that you can actually, let's say that one site or one submission was supposed to be in the Philippines, for instance, but for some reason it was shown in, I don't know, somewhere in America, for instance. And then one way to actually use this filter is to actually hide that point if you want to hide it, and you can also like look at that specific point and edit it or update it through Power BI. So that is, I think, one thing that is missing also on Kobo Toolbox, in more into like the advanced filters of your data visualization reports. And yeah, so those are the different part of our BI. And then now let me go ahead actually and then share my other screen and show you a couple of dashboards that uh, I have created, and show you actually the interaction between the Power BI desktop and the Power BI service. So let me go ahead and share my entire screen. All right, so I hope you see my screen now. So this is how actually Power BI desktop work, and this is how it looks like. As I explained, there are 6 parts into this, but this is like just to show you this is how it works, and this is one of the dashboard that I've created for Africa West. As you can see here, I have actually created this dashboard for 4 countries, and that is also the beauty of Power BI. You can actually get as many data as you want from different sources, as I said, and then put it and or blend it together into one map, for instance here. So this is the main page where we work, as I said, and here I have created many tiles or many different types of visualization, such as map filters. I've also had some donut done a chart and more filters and all of those. And as you can see here in the left, in the right side, these are the data set, or these are actually the tables that I loaded. The tables is more of, it's the same of data set. So one table is one data set that you actually loaded from a source. So here I have one for Benin, one for Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, and Togo. And then after I put those together actually into what I call the final table, so that I can view everything into this one map, and everything into this one report. And as I explained earlier, there is also a way, and a very cool way, to actually create many pages within Power BI. As you can see here, I have a project sites page here, which actually show all the implementation sites in here for here it's in Cote d'Ivoire, because I selected Cote d'Ivoire. So those are projects that we at the GEMS team actually supported in Cote d'Ivoire. And for instance, there is also another page that I created here, which is on the photos, for instance. As you can already see here, there is the ability to actually also show photos within Power BI. And the way you're going to do it is just through getting the link, that Kobo tool that you get from Kobo Toolbox, and just embed it in a way. It's very easy to actually do. And then there's also other types of visualization, like I did here. There is this cool way of actually making this time like it's more of a chart, where you can actually see the evolution of your submission, or of any actually variables that you wanna choose across the time. And then again, you can actually create as many pages as you want, uh, just in this one report. And then one last thing is that, as I'm here, I want to also show you that there is also a way to hide a page in Power BI. For instance, I think I was working on this page, and then after we said like, okay, we are actually not going to show this, because we already have this page, which is the project site. So you can definitely, hide it when people are going to view, or other user are going to look at your Power BI. So this is how Power BI desktop looks like. And really quick, show you on how it looks like on Power BI service. So once you have created dashboard within this Power BI desktop, and then there is this publish button up here, and you can go ahead and click on publish. And once it is published actually into your account, and then you can open Power BI service, which looks like this. So this is actually linked to my account at the World Bank, as you can see. And then here you have different, section, but where I'm actually going to see most of the dashboard that I created is in this my workspace. So once I click on my workspace, you can see that these are all of the dashboard, or most of the dashboard that I've actually created with Power BI and published. So for the dashboard that I showed you earlier, which is for Africa West, it is this actually dashboard. And as you can see, it's a report created by me and owned by myself. And then once I click into the report, and I'm going to show you, this is how it actually looks like within the Power BI service. So Power BI service, again, the difference between Power BI desktop and service is that this is a better way actually to look at the data set, to visualize. Power BI desktop is more for creating the dashboard, but Power BI services for visually for the visualization part of your dashboard or reports. And let me make this big quickly. So as you can see here, this is much better way to actually look at your dashboard and to view your dashboard. And here, just quickly, I have my different pages as I showed you, the photo, the other analysis, but the last page that I showed you earlier is not here, because I hid it. So those are the things that I've done within this dashboard. And quickly, just to show you, like this is actually how you would use Power BI into making decision into your decision making. Is very quickly. This is, as you can see, I can just quickly filter BNI here and just wait for a couple of seconds. And now, as you can see, everything has changed within, the Kobo toolbox. Not Kobo, but this Power BI dashboard. Everything is focused on Bene because of the filter that I actually created, and even the number of implementation sites here has changed. Before it was so much more than 8,000, but now it's just focused on the Bene because of this filter tile that I actually created. And you can also filter it based on whatever you want. Actually, I can do it within two countries, and you can see that there is this live change or interactive dashboard into the screen. As you can see, now we have two countries and so on and so forth. So those are things that I think it's cool about Power BI, and it's so much better than the usual Kobo toolbox data analysis tools that we have on Kobo, which is limited in a way that you can really do like a cool dashboard like this, and very flexible and very sort of pretty advanced actually dashboard, but very easy to make. And as you can see, when I hover on the top of the points, I can you can put information about the submission. This is for one submission, project name, and all of those information. You can add those, you can edit it, as the way you want. And then quickly come into the next page for this demonstration, because I think we need to go into the next section after this. So there is also the photo. As I said, there is a way for you to actually also include photos, just showing you the different dashboard that is possible through Power BI. Photos, I think that's what makes this different. And you can check, for instance, education. I think this was why we actually created this, is to actually check. Let's say that we want to look for things about education. And as you can see on the picture, you see like schools that are built or renovated here. So yeah, that it makes sense. But let's say maybe we have pictures that are completely unrelated to the education. Then you can be like, oh, maybe there was something that was going on into this site that we would like to check actually. So those are the different, analysis, extensive analysis that we can do through Power BI, which is, I think, really helpful into again have doing or making your decision. And quickly, I think the good part of this is that you can actually just click on, let's say that you want to click on the way I did it. This is actually per month. So you can just look, all right, so where are these 57 submissions that we actually did in Cote d'Ivoire in April 2021. And once you click in there, and everything has changed. If you saw it, now we have fewer points, and here we have, as said, 57 actually points or submissions in one project. And then I also added something, like this chart saying that, oh, we are actually, this is saying that we are actually, we should have like 590 project or implement a sub project into this, for this actually specific project. But we only were actually implemented 75, and the other ones are actually still ongoing. So these are the number of sub-projects that are successfully mapped through through Kobo, and also we loaded the data into Power BI. So this is how we see, and those are just to show you that those are the different things that are actually available on Power BI. And then we can also see here some pie chart and donut chart, as I said. And as you click on on other countries, everything is changing, which is you know really cool, and it it helps a lot. And you can also create those type of visualization where you can actually have this type of I forgot the name of this, but where you have cool things, that they showing per admin level, for instance. That's what I did here: admin level 1, admin level 2, and then yeah, and those are what's possible within Power BI. So let me actually go ahead then, and then show you, while I'm here, I can show you that here you can, there are also ways to export, for instance, this dashboard into a PDF or in Excel. That you can export the data set again in Excel if you had it in another form, and you can get the PowerPoint version of your dashboard or reports, and you can share it to to other people within your organization or outside your organization. And you can just enter their email. For instance, I can put Wes here. For some reason I can see Wes here, but yeah, you can just enter it, and then the other user can actually open this dashboard. And what else? Yeah, so those are the things that are possible, but within Power BI service. But there are also more. But I leave that to you actually, because there are so many other things that you can do that we cannot cover, or I cannot really show here. But yeah, this is just to give you a glance or an overview of what it looks like and what are possible. And also, let's actually come back to the presentation. And now, once I actually showed you this part, so let me actually go here, which is but getting your actually the data set to Power BI. And then let me let me keep it in this way, because I'm gonna need this to actually copy paste. So now, if you actually installed Power BI into your computer, then feel free to follow what I'm doing and what I'm gonna show you here, because this is the most important step into creating dashboard, which is loading the data into Power BI. And as I explained, one way to actually do it is through the API connection, and that is what makes Kobo Toolbox very helpful here, because of this API ways of connecting data set through Kobo to Power BI, and in an automated way. So that is that is the most I think the the most important feature of API is just that you can actually help, it can help you into making things more automated without actually going to Kobo and then download the data within an Excel and then load it again into Kobo. So for instance, let's say that today I have 100 submissions within my Kobo Toolbox account, and I created a dashboard today with 100 submissions. But let's say that in a month from now, since you have collected more data set and more data set within Kobo, then in a month from now, if you created the dashboard using the API way of having the data or of loading the data, then you would have the 1,000 data set that you actually have on Kobo Toolbox without downloading the data and working on the data set again. So that is the way I would say this. That is why this API connection between Kobo Power BI is very important. And here I'm gonna walk you through how to actually do this. And again, if you have your Power BI installed on your computer, then feel free to follow with me. This is a pretty simple and straightforward way, but you have just to be a bit how can I say it actually? You just have to follow, everything within this instruction to get it right. Because if you copy things from your Kobo toolbox, like the URL that you're gonna use, and if you miss one letter, then it's not gonna work. So that's why you need to be actually to pay on the details on the elements or components that you're gonna need to actually be able to get this data into Power BI using the API connection. So that's been said, let me actually open a new project in Power BI. So please go ahead and open Power BI. It's taking some time for me. All right, here it is. So let me close this. So this is how a Power BI desktop or a Power BI file. This is the interface of Power BI that you're gonna see through the Power BI desktop. As you can see, there is nothing in here. This is empty. The data part, we don't have any data yet because we haven't loaded any data. So what I'm gonna show you and what I would like you to do is actually. All right, so this is the API connection. And so there is what we call, first of all, we want to get the API token. What is the API token first? So API token, it is actually a very long token or a very long word, if I may say so, which contains your username and password. So when you actually use this token, then you don't actually have to enter your password and your username anymore, because it is actually represented through that very long token. And because it is very long and it's sort of a key for a Kobo Toolbox account, that it is unique to your Kobo Toolbox account. So as it is unique, so that key is very important, and you don't actually want to share it with anyone, because if they do have this token, then they will have access to your data set and your projects and form as well. So now we're going to get the token, and to find your token, API token, there is this link that I will paste into I will paste into the chat. Can I do that? I think I need to share my screen, right? Let's see.
Rendra, I just pasted it following
All
your
right.
first slide.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. And sorry, because I can't actually see the the chat and I can
Yeah,
open it. But yeah.
on the top bar, if you click on the more option with the dots, it should give you the option for chat.
Oh yeah, actually yes. So all right. Thank you. Thank you, Min. Yeah, but Min already pasted it there, so that's where you're actually gonna get your token. And once you open it, and again, I'm not sure, but if you actually use the non-humanitarian account, then you're gonna use what Min pasted. But if not, then you're gonna use this other one, which is the Kobo.humanitarian response server. So that is if you're actually not using the humanitarian account. Let me also we post it there so you can also have it. All right. So once you actually have it, then what you're gonna see is something like this, for instance. And of course, I hide it my token, but it should look like this. But you know, before you actually type the you want to make sure that you're actually logged in within your Kobo Toolbox account, or it may actually ask you to log in if you haven't logged in using your uh, Kobo Toolbox account. So you have that token here, and please, what I want to actually ask you is open somewhere Notepad. See if this. All right, so you want to actually save it somewhere. And for me, I'm gonna open a notepad, for instance, and just put it there so you can have it. Notepad is taking time. Open. Here we go. So in your notepad, you can actually go ahead and put like token and paste your token in there. And then that's the first element that you're gonna need to make this connection between Kobo and Power BI through the API method. And the next one, once that's done, and then you want to get your form UID. UID is unique ID. As you know, for each account, you would have an ID, unique ID for each form or each project that you have on your on your Kobo account. And for that, go you open your Kobo Toolbox account, and you do, for instance, what is the form that we're gonna work on? This form, field validation. And once you open the project, you see here at the top, and what would want to actually copy. So is the whatever you can see between form and summary. So if you go back on your browser, and then once you double click on this middle part, then you're gonna have this whole unique ID of your form, and I want you to copy it and put it in the somewhere. Just put it somewhere and form UID and paste it in there. So because we're gonna need it in a minute. And once you have the token and the form UID, and then now we're gonna construct the URL that we're going to actually need to get the data set through this API connection from Kobo. And the way you're gonna construct this is using the following format. First, the KPI URL is either kf.kobotoolbox.org, which is for non-humanitarian, and the other one is the kobo.humanitarian response.info. So that is for the other one. So either way, but for me, since I have the non-humanitarian account, which is the HHI account, then I'm gonna use kf.kobotoolbox.org. And after that, you're going to put assets. So that actually indicates that you're going to take assets from your Kobo Toolbox server data. And next, you're going to put the form UID, which is the one that we just got earlier. So let me also copy this entire uh, URL on the chat. So that is it, and you just change the KPI URL and the form UID. So for me, for instance, let me go ahead and save it. Just do it URL and then save it here and just replace the KPI ID with KF because I'm using this server, kobotoolbox.org, and the form UID, you're going to replace it with what we have here, the one that we actually just got. And once you have that, so here is the whole URL that you're gonna need to get your dataset from this specific form, to get all of your submissions from the specific form that we just that I just showed you, and then let us copy everything. So now that we have that the URL that we're gonna need, what I would want you to do is open your Power BI desktop, which looks like this. So now we don't have any data. We want to load data set using the API way, as I explained earlier. And now I want you to click on get data on the home section. You can click on get data. And when you click get data, you will see all the common data sources that you're gonna see. If you click on the arrow, but if you click up here, then you would have a more extensive uh, list of all the data set that you can actually put on load on Kobo, like Excel and everything. But for this case, since I'm actually I'm gonna need get the data from one of those, so we're gonna use this. But this is just a way to actually show you that you can also get data from Excel, load data from Excel, Power BI dataset or data flows. There's also the SQL server or SQL server to Power BI, and even you can even like upload or load dataset that are the text or CSV, and there is also the web version, which is what we're gonna need because remember that we just created a link or a URL to access the dataset through the API endpoint. So that's the word for the URL that we actually created. It's an endpoint. It's an API endpoint where we can actually use to get those data set or to load those data set from the Kobo server into Power BI. So once you click on web, and then you're gonna have two options, and you wanna click on advanced, and then once you click on advanced, you're gonna have like a blank section where you're gonna input your URL parts. So that's where you're gonna paste the URL that you just actually created, and then after that, there are two things that we want to do actually, because this is just pointing to your Kobo Toolbox server for the specific form that you just we indicated through the Kobo form unique ID that you just got. And what's missing here is actually the credential, because for us to get the data through the URL that we just entered, we also want to tell Power BI that where we're gonna get it, meaning that which account we're gonna get it. And to do that, we want to go here down here into the HTTP request header parameters, which is optional, but here we would want to use the authorization word authorization here because we want to authorize Power BI to actually access the data that are stored within your Kobo Toolbox account. And then next here in the right part, since remember that we have the token that should be up here. And what I want you to do is then to tell Power BI to get that token and use the token to actually get the data from the URL parts that we just added here in down here. So you type token with a big T, and then copied from your Kobo Toolbox account. So let me actually also get my token really quick. gonna unshare my screen because again, you want to make sure that that the other people don't have access to your token, because if they do, then they will be able to actually also access your data through API. So let me open. Let me actually get my token in it. So once you have your token, then you paste it in there. And once you paste it in there, and then you click on OK. So once you have, then again, just repeating what I just showed you, put the URL in the URL part section, and then go down, all the way down into the HTTP request header parameters, and put authorization with a big A, and then to the next part, which is the token with a capital T space and the token of your account that we just got earlier. And then once that's done, you want to click in OK, and it's gonna take uh, some time depending on how big your data set is actually. And then it should be right in connecting, meaning that actual Power BI is actually connecting to the Kobo Toolbox account. And then once that is done, so let me reshare my screen now. And I'm not sure if you do have question, but please feel free to actually come in and interrupt me
Hi,
if you
Rendra.
actually have any issue, because I don't see the chat. Yeah. Or if you have any question. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yes,
making
yes, yes,
sure
yeah.
for the participants. Yeah, Rendra is gonna reshare his screen. It was just an interruption to hide his token because we need to keep that safe. And
Yes.
yeah, if I could come in with a question. So when we well, first to clarify that I think some error messages that people saw was because they were not logged into their Kobo accounts,
Mm,
or either that or they used the wrong link. So there were two URLs to copy and paste in the browser. One, if you had made your account in the regular researchers,
mm,
aid workers, and everyone else option. And if you had made your account in the humanitarian server, then the
mm.
second link was the one to paste.
Yes, yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
and
so this is,
having
yeah, this is the example of it. Yeah.
mhm.
Mm,
And
thank you.
having cleared that, um, I had a yeah, one curiosity popped up. So when you're getting the data via web, do you need to be the owner of the form to make the connection work? Or can you link it as long as you have access to see the submissions?
Yes, that is actually a good question, and the answer is your second point, which is if somebody the project or the form you give you access to the data set, and then you can use your account as long as you can see the project within your Kobo Toolbox account, even if you're not the owner, then you will still be able to load the data set. So yeah, so that is the answer, and that is a really good question that I forgot to mention. So yes, that is the answer, and thank you, Min, for the question.
Yeah, great to know. Thanks,
Yes,
Andrea. In case anybody hasn't been able to follow so far, if you need us to repeat anything, please let us know. You can type your questions in the chat or open your mics.
yeah, and And I think, as I'm looking at the UIP for Kobo humanitarian response, there was a dot here, and I don't think that there shouldn't be a dot here. It should be just dot info without the dot. So not sure if some of you actually encountered that issue when you try to get your token using the Kobo Toolbox humanitarian response account. But if you do it, then please try it without the dot, because I think that was a typo that a mistypo that I had on my slide. So sorry for that. So if everything is fine, then let me just quickly show you what I just told you through my screen. So first we got into get data and choose web. And then once that was done, and then here you went to the advanced options and then fill in here the URL parts in this place, and then authorization token for this, right? But I think it's fine here. You won't have access to the whole token. It's a very long actually word, if I may say so, or just characters. So yeah, so that's what I've done. I've just showed you, and I'm actually gonna share this slide for those who haven't got the opportunity to follow along with me. So don't worry, and of course we're also gonna share this session with you as well. So yeah, so let me continue really quick on the next step. So once you actually have this, so this is what you're gonna see. You're gonna have something like this saying that this is the name of the data set that you actually get. So good thing about Power BI again is that it has the flexibility to actually edit things. Like you can go ahead and edit the name of the table that we just actually got from Kobo. So let's just say data, for instance, and then here, this is also a very important part of Kobo Toolbox, which is this is where we actually see all the applied steps. And steps here, when referring to steps, it's talking about the data cleaning part or cleaning part of the data update part. If you want to update anything, and then you will see here later that when let's say that we actually change the name or something within a data set, then you're gonna see all of those steps, and you can look back actually, like if you forgot what you did, then you can look back at, oh, this is what I did in these steps and these steps. So here we have something like this, and which means that we actually have 19 submissions, and we can double check it by just going into the Kobo account that where I actually got it, which is here we have 19 submissions as said. So meaning that we've got all the submissions actually loaded into Power BI. Quickly next, so we have 19 as said, and if you actually click on record, then what you can see is all the actually very detailed uh, answer of your form, sorry, your questionnaire. So here, as you can see everything like in this form, which is you have the ID and all the questions that has been asked actually into the to your form. And then again, as I said, this part of Power BI, shows all the different steps that you've actually did and made. So here, once after having the data, getting the data from the source, then we went to navigation, which is looking at the data. This is a way to look at the data in this way, but I can show you how to actually get the table now, and I'm going to show you. And cool thing about this applied step is that you can go to in this arrow left to the name of the step, and then just click on it, and then it will remove it. So that if you say like, oh, I don't actually wanna, I wanna delete that step that I made earlier, so you can just quickly go and delete it. And what I want you to do here actually, because this is what we call a list, as you can see, and we want a table. Now, since the way Power BI actually is loading the data from Power BI is that it puts all the data into list, but now we want to get this into a table. So we can see all the variables and questions that we've asked on our Kobo toolbox into a one big table. So to do that, you go on to table. So this means that we have a list here and we want to actually expand it into a table or convert this into a table as said in the description. And once you click to table, and what you can see here is that you want to actually create a table from the list of value. And what I want you to do is just click OK because we don't need a delimiter here. We don't need to handle any extra columns because the way Kobo Toolbox actually store the data set is already pretty much set, or what I mean is pretty much how can I say it? It's pretty much ready. That's the word. So yeah, sorry. So now once you click on the two table options, and then now you're gonna have stuff like this. And now if you look on this arrow here on the left on the right top corner of next to the column one, and you're gonna see all the column that are available on your data set from Kobo. For instance, here I can see that there are the GRP location, there are the actual date of the field investigation, and all of the other things. And a cool thing about this is that you can actually also click and select and unselect, different variables that you want to show on Kobo on Power BI or not. So for instance, for this demonstration, I don't want the username to show, I don't want SimSeria, subscribe, subscriber ID or device ID phone number. I don't want to show. So you can delete it, uncheck those, so you can uncheck version and beta instance if you wanted to. So yes, so and then once you're done, also on use original column name prefix, you can unclick on it, and then once that's done, you click on OK. And once you click OK, now you have the whole table. So this is actually work, and this is that is like part one of loading the data set. It's done here. So part one is more of loading and getting all of those API token and all of those links ready. And then once that we were able to actually load the data. Second part is the cleaning part. The cleaning part, you can also it can also happen within these same pages, because if you look at the top here, which is in the toolbar section, you can see different options that you can use. You can even merge queries, you can append queries, you can append tables into this. I'm not gonna go through this, but I would actually really let you explore into other types of things that you can actually do through Power BI, because we won't have time to actually go through everything, because yeah, this is just sort of like a brief introduction of what is possible. So for instance, what is possible within this editing or data cleaning part is one thing that always and often happens when we get the data through the API part is, for instance, let me look at that section of the GPS. So for instance, the GPS location here. So as you can see, the way Kobo store the GPS location is in a way that it tells the latitude and then a space, and then longitude and space, and then altitude, space, and precision. So what we would like here is actually to get those coordinates in separate columns. And to get those coordinates separately, what we can do it really quickly within Power BI, which is you click the column, and then there is the split column here option at the top. And once you click at split column, and then you can do delimiter, and the delimiter here for the specific variable or column is a space. So as you can see, it already knows that we're actually wanting to split that GPS coordinates by using a space, and then to double check that this is actually doing this in the right way. And Power BI already knows what to actually split is that if you go on the advanced options, it actually knows that we have four parts already without indicating that we want to split it into four parts. Another thing that we can do, we can just say that, oh, we want to actually split it into two parts or three parts, but here we have four parts, so we're gonna do four parts. And another, cool thing about Power BI is that it also gives you, the ability to actually split it using other options like leftmost delimiter. So if you split it in four, or let's say you want to split it in just two, and you want to get the leftmost, and then you can just choose the leftmost or the rightmost, of the elements that you're actually getting after splitting the whole GPS coordinates. So here we're gonna only have this, and then now we're gonna click OK, and then as you can see, it split the GPS into four parts. So this is property location 1, property location 2, property location 3, and property location 4. And uh, and for property location 1, this is the first coordinates from Kobo. This is the latitude, and I think that's one thing that we need to know here, and that the first is latitude, second is longitude, and that is very actually easy to remember because the lat comes always first, comes always before long in terms of the alphabetical order. So that's just a way to remember. If you don't remember which one comes first, latitude or longitude, for this case it's always latitude because latitude comes before longitude. And for the altitude and so therefore, let me just rename it. So here you can also rename it easily on Power BI. Double click on it and just rename it altitude. And the last, we can rename it precision, because that's what it is. And then once that's done, we can go ahead and save it. So now we finished cleaning the data. So that was just, very quick, data cleaning part, but there are also parts that you may encounter and you wanna, also clean. But there is always ways to clean data because we have so many, options and things in Power BI that are not available on Kobo Toolbox. So you can definitely use those multiple actually way of editing data set and or updating data set. Once that's done, you want to close and apply. So closing and applying it means that you've actually finished uh, creating your data set, or you have finished loading the entire data set into Power BI. So now it's saying that we have 19 rows loaded, and as you can see here, you have the data here with all of the variables or all of the questions that we included before when we loaded the data set at the beginning. And quickly, this is the report page. We also have the data page. So this is where, let's say that you actually have you want to still edit the data set, so you can go here and you can look at the data, 19 submissions and all, and you can even click right and you can open the edit query, and then that will open what we actually see if you want to re-edit or re-update something that you forgot earlier. All right, so let me close that. And then the last one is this is like a relation model, or yeah, a model on Power BI. And the way how it works actually, I'm not going to show it because that's going to take some time, but the way it works is, let's say that you have multiple data set or tables that you actually loaded from different sources. And then when you do that, then you're gonna have multiple table, and then you can sort of like link those table in a way that you can make actually as many relation between them. So it could be like a relation in the how can I say it, like in a row level or relation in a column level. So that is what we can do within this actually model part. So now that we have the data, so I'm gonna actually really quickly show you like what are available within Power BI and how to actually do it, and why I actually told you earlier that it's pretty easy, because all you need to do now that you have your data cleaned and ready for to visualize is to actually drag and drop, which is pretty much easy to actually do. So for instance, let's say that I want to create a new visualization here. So you can go to the plus and say new visual. And once you click on that, then you're going to have something like this, right? And now, once you have it, if you look at this part here and the visualization part, those are all different types of visualization. And I already showed you earlier some of them, like the donut chart, the map, and all of those. So I'm not really going to explain it in details here, but I just want to show you, how to actually make use those visualization within Power BI, and also I'm going to try to make some, an interactive dashboard using all the data set that we have. So now we have this visual, and then here we have the different type of visualization, and you can see we have stacked bar, we have all kinds of visualization. But here I want to actually, since I showed you earlier about looking the data set across time, so that is one thing that as I'm thinking now, I can show you how to actually do that. And to do it, uh, you're gonna go on this let's say you want to go on area chart, or it could be also line chart, but here we're gonna go to area chart. And then once you click at this, so we have this chart here. Let me make it bigger for now. And then down here, down visualization, you have three sections. The first one is actually the field. So that is where you're gonna say like, oh, I want to put this data set within the axis or y axis, or just saying what you want to visualize. And to actually put things in there, or choose data set, you can just extend this label that you just created. And let's say you want to actually maybe for this case, since we want to look at the data set that we are actually we have collected across the time, then what I will look is look at the variable today. I think you had like a date version, yeah, actual date version for this for your form. Let me use the today for this demonstration. So as you can see, you can drag it and drop it very easy. So for me, what I want to see in the axis is actually the the today, or this the 2 days, the, the date where we actually collected the data set. So this is a metadata collected by Kobo when you actually created the form. So, and what we actually want to see is like how many submissions we had across the time. So for that, you can get the UID, which is the unique ID for each. It's a unique universal ID for each submission that you have at Kobo. And you can click on it and actually drag it. I think it's on value. So as you can see, we have two dates that we actually collected data, which was this December 20th, 2021, and the December 19th, 2021. And here, I've just showed you a very easy way to actually create this. And here you can visualize it in a way that, all right, here, when you hover your mouse on top of this for this date, for instance, and it is saying that you've had 11 submissions for this specific form on the December 20th, 2021. And if you look at the other date, which is the day before it, which is the December 19th, 2021, then we had eight actually eight submission. And here, as you can see, when we add them up, then we have 19 submissions as in Kobo. So it's pretty much everything that is on Kobo. And let's also make something I've used in the previous dashboard that I've showed you. For instance, you can look at the card. So what can we do with a card, for instance? So a card is just a very easy way to show, one of the variables or column that you have here. And what I mean by show is that, let's say that if I again put the UID, which is the universal unique ID for each submission, then here we have different options. You can show the first UUID that we have. You can also show actually the last UUID, but for us, we want to count how many submissions we have here actually, then we're going to go to count. And as you can see, it knows that we have 19 submissions here. And then, and yes, and you can also do other things. For instance, let me show you really quick as well. The cool thing about Power BI is that you can change anything that you can see the way it shows. If you want to change, let's say that if you want to change this, maybe you want to, instead of putting count of UID there, you want to say like, oh, it makes more sense if if I actually edit it and put submission instead of count of UUID. And then you can also just go ahead in this next section, which is the format. You can go here in the format, and then you can even change the position of this tile or thing, and you can do it automatically. I mean manually, if you if you, let's say, you want to actually change the width of it, you want to put it bigger, just 700, and as you can see, it changed the the size of this tile. And then what can we also do? Let's say that you actually want to change the label of the data, the color, then you can also change it. So really, it's a very flexible tool. If you want to change the column, if you want to change this, even the size of the text that you see, you are seeing, then you can do that through this section of Power BI, and you can also change the text size. There are so many other options that you can do to make your Power BI dashboard look more interesting and more visually more easy to visualize actually. And the next I want to quickly show you also, since earlier when we actually did the data cleaning part, we cleaned the GPS coordinates. And then what I can show you now is actually how we would put that into a map. And then the way we're going to do it, always create a new visualization. And once you create a new visualization, then you would want to choose the type of visualization that you actually want to show. So in this case, since I would like to create a map, then what I will do is look for map and click on map, and it's changed. And then if you look at map, sorry, you have location, legend, latitude, and longitude. And we already actually extracted the latitude and longitude from the data set earlier. The steps that I showed you. And then to just look at that, you can quickly go and search for latitude. And as you can see, we have a latitude here. And all you need to do is just drag it and put it on the latitude part. And let me actually make this bigger so we can see. So now we have the latitude version, the latitudes on the right part. So all we need to do to create a map is the longitude. Of course, we also need the longitude to map those points. And same, very easy, just drag it. And then right away, when you finish that, as you can see, it's giving us this map. saying that those are the 19 submissions that we have on Kobo. Those are the specific location. And again, since Power BI actually gives us all of those cool features on editing the points, or you can even make these points bigger using Power BI. Like you can go on these bubbles section and you can make it bigger. As you can see, it bigger. So it really depends on what you want, and Power BI gives you all those tools to actually create a really cool dashboard. And then you can even change, of course, change the data color, to whatever color that you want, just to show you that, this is pretty much a flexible tool. And what else? I can also show you, for instance, since now we just put the latitude and longitude, but what if, let's say that we want to look, we want to have this we want to look at this map in a way that we want to actually put a legend. And what I mean by legend, let's see, for example, so here, as you look at the data set that I'm looking as well, you see that we have those group, pretty long name, and this is because we actually got it through API. And I would actually suggest you, when before you create any maps or anything in your dashboard or reports, then to go ahead and just edit it in a way that it makes sense and you know what's in the data set. So for instance, let me actually just go and see, mm, let's say organization status. So here I want to actually show these points based on, or these maps or coordinates based on the organization status. And how to do that? It's very easy, since we want to just drag this and put this in the legend, legend field. And once you have this, and let me show my map bigger. So as you can see, we have here three different types of actually organization status, which is, we have a blank, so looks like one of the submission didn't answer this question, so that's why it's a blank. And we also have a functionality, and the other one is registered with concerned agencies. So as you can see, the color changed, and you can view it in a better way in terms of filters. And one cool thing I already told you earlier about this filter option on Power AI is that you can go ahead and then exclude, let's say that this blank, I don't want to show this blank point. And what I can do is, we can filter this map based on the organization status, and we can add this field of organization status. And actually there are five, that are blank for this type of question. And then we can just filter this, and then just unselect the five. And as you can see, the blue one that we saw up here, which represented five actually submission, just disappear, because we use the filters just not to show the blank part, because we're only interested maybe into those who have responded to that specific question on a Kobo form. So those are cool things, and also very important filters that we can use using Power BI. What else can I show to before we finish this demonstration actually? So let's say that based on those uh, submissions that we have, those graphs that we have, let's create a filter. And to create a filter, let's say that we want to actually filter based on the organization status that we already saw earlier, or we can choose any other type of filters. But the way we will do that is that you want to go through your different types of visualization, and you go to, I think it should be slicer as far as I remember. Slicer. first add a new visualization. And where is the filter part of it? Let's see, I think it's slicer actually. Yes, it is slicer. And then here we have a slicer here. Let me make this big. This is a slicer with nothing in it, but now we want to add something. So as I said, let's try to slice the data or filter the data using the organization status, the one that we saw earlier. Again, drag and drop, very easy. And now we have the three types of organization status that we saw earlier. And to see the interactiveness part of Power BI, let me make this bigger for you. You can go ahead and click on this, for instance. So let's say that, oh, we actually want to look on all the submissions that have actually functionality as, I mean, organization status as functionality. So once you click on that, and then as you see, there was a slight change into your dashboard because now you only have everything, all the submission where the organization status is functionality. And if you go on the other one, and as you can see, we have 5 submissions that actually where we have registered with concerned agencies. And in the map, as you can see next to it, it changed. So that I think that interactiveness of Power BI is what we really want to show when making any decision making, or when just visualizing the data in general. So those are things that are possible within Power BI. There are so many much more visualization here that I would actually encourage you to look at, and see if you can also explore more on maybe ArcGIS for those who are familiar with ArcGIS. And you can even, as I said, you can even embed Python script here into this Python visual or R script here within Power BI. And yes, and then I guess one more thing that I may have forgot to show is uh, I explained this earlier that in a couple of projects that I we have actually supported into making dashboards, especially for our portfolio mapping, is that sometimes, and actually very often, we have like one out of maybe 20,000 submissions where the location is just not, or shouldn't be on the right place. And the way you can just remove that, or if you don't know where it should be exactly, because if that's the case, then you want to ask the PI, you to actually go ahead and edit the data. But if you don't know, and you're rushing with creating this dashboard and what you can do, since one out of 20,000 one is not much compared to the other 20,000 submissions. So what you can do, let's say that, oh, this point isn't supposed to be here. So it's very easy within Power BI to actually exclude it, as you can see here. So you can just click on exclude and it disappeared. So that is also one thing that you can do within Power BI. Just one thing, but there are so many other stuff that you can actually use by using Power BI for the data analysis part and dashboard creation part. So, and then once this is actually once this is done, this is ready. Let's say that now we're done with creating this dashboard, and now I'm gonna talk about publishing it. So what if you want to publish it actually? Still very easy and very straightforward on Power BI. You have this publish part here on the right upright corner of your Power BI desktop. Again, this everything that I've done here happened in Power BI desktop. And now if we want to actually publish this, then we want to go click on publish. And do you want to save your changes? Yes, we want to save it. And then now you want to put it somewhere on your laptop. And let's just say split session mm, session Power BI, for instance. And then once we save it, Power BI is working on it. And then once that is saved, then we want to go ahead and publish it. So now this is the window to actually publish it, as is saying publish to Power BI, and you want to select which destination you want. And here, just to let you know what does do those mean, is that within the bank actually, I am part of so many groups, and so that's why I have many other like options here, like artificial intelligence initiative, which is a group that I'm actually involved in, and data and all of those. So I can also actually publish those within those other organization or groups. Here it's like a sort of like an organization or workplace, but it is really like a group within the bank. And but for here, since this is just for me, and I wanna actually publish it on my workspace and just select it and here it's showing publishing split session Power BI to Power BI. So this is publishing it into your Power BI account. And once that's done, I can just, this is saying like, oh, you can actually view it by clicking here and all of this other thing. And then what I want to do is to open my Power BI. This is my Power BI service. That's where I'm gonna see all the dashboards and reports that I've actually deployed or published uh, using the Power BI desktop version of Power BI. And if I go to my workspace, down here, so and let me go and down here, as you can see, I have just published this dashboard or report here, and then as you can see here, this is the name of the report that I just published by me. It was just like a minute ago, and then to open it, you just click on open, and you're gonna just get see everything that we just built it here. And then this is how you can, let's say you have a presentation about this report that you just created, so you can go ahead and present it from this page and just making the cool, showing the cool actually interactiveness of a dashboard, just playing around with your data set. And really this will help a lot into decision making as as it is. And yeah, so that's it on the Power BI desktop, Power BI service. This is how you're gonna see it. And and yeah, this is just a demonstration, but you can always work on cleaning the data set, which I didn't really, not really on the data set, but on the reports. Like for instance, you don't want to make this group whatever variable name here. You want to change it to something that makes more sense. Then you can just do it, rename it on your Power BI desktop. Yeah, but we haven't done that. And one last thing is, I've already explained about exporting your reports by choosing the PDF or the PowerPoint. And there is also the share. So this is the the share. So may I actually get one maybe West uh, email address, so I can share this to West, and West would actually have received uh, a notification about this, so he can open it. So and maybe he can share it to his screen to see how it looks like in his Power BI account. But yeah, this is just to show that this is actually also a way to share dashboard with people in our organization or with people outside of organization. And so yeah, so I think that's what I prepared for today. And if you have any question. Maybe one more thing actually, since we are here, and I want to actually quickly show you like how to also load dataset using an Excel. So using an Excel, since I have the dataset of the same dataset of this actually project uh, in an Excel version. Quickly look at it. So I have this data set, the same thing in an Excel version, and I wanted to just quickly show you that this is also possible and also very easy to do within Power BI. So this is the same data set with 19 submissions in it, and let's say that you've actually cleaned this and now you're ready to also load this into Power BI. You can go ahead and very easy, you just click on this cell or and then you look at where you actually saved it. And and now I have this field validation report. This is the same project. And once you just click at open, and then it's going to load your data set here. So as you can see here, Kobo yeah, I mean, Power BI already knows this the longitude and latitude and always based on the first row that we have, and yeah, so we can load it, and so we can just go ahead and load it. And now we should have two types of data set here, here. So as you can see here in the field, so we can let me go on the data tab or data section. So here is the old data, which is this is the one that we got through to API, and you have one that actually have or through Excel which is so as you can see, those are pretty much the same, but it depends on what you want and what you're actually working on, whether you choose to do it through API or through Excel or any other source of data. But this is just to show you that this is pretty much also and available by L API, SQL, even text file. You can always load it into Power BI, and you can see this within your Power BI, and as you can see in the list here. So yeah, so yeah, so I think that's all I prepared, and I think I covered pretty much everything on sharing the dashboard, showing you what Power BI is, what is possible about Power BI, and what is like how you can also work on the data cleaning part and all different filters, different types of visualization. I've showed you a couple of them as well with this live demonstration on how to actually create and make reports through Power BI. And so if you have any questions or if I may have missed anything, please ask, and I will try my best to answer your question. And thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, uh, please go ahead with your question if you do have questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rindra. That's a very comprehensive presentation. So just to clarify, if once they've made the connection via API, if there's new data being collected, do we need to like press any button in the Power BI app to collect the additional data, or it's automatic? Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question, and that is, I think, one thing I forgot to also show. So if you let me reshare my screen really quick on the Power BI. So just a quick recap, and not really a recap, but a quick view of my Power BI, you actually do this is where you're going to have that idea as far as I actually sorry. Yeah, there is a way to do it through here. Let's see. Let's just see, for example, there is a way you go on the Power BI session, and there should be a way for you to actually uh, let me go to there are that uh, and and go refresh data set. So if you go on refresh data, and once you click it, so this is usually how I actually refresh my data set when I have many I mean our data set coming in into my Kobo account, and then once that's refreshed, and then you would have to republish it. So that is one way to do it, and the other way to do it is I may need to look at it because I don't remember where I found it, but it's somewhere on Power BI service, which is actually so this is just like doing the same thing, republishing it. So it's gonna say like replacing this data set may impact the report, but you didn't change anything in the report, and even if you did change anything in the report, it doesn't really matter that much here because you want to actually refresh your data set. That's what you only did. But the other way is that you can schedule like a time where Power BI just would refresh it by itself. No, not here. Let me quickly look at it. I haven't used it for a while, so I don't pretty much remember where it is, but it's somewhere there. So mm, and yeah, so this is actually this depends on what you want, and you know what's your goal actually. But for my case actually, I don't now, and I want actually to refresh it by myself before let's say that I have a presentation or something to share. So I wanted to make sure that I do it by myself so I can see exactly the changes between my old Power BI dashboard and the new one with the new data set that just came into Kobo. So that's why I usually use it through the way I just showed you. But the automatic refresh is actually, as I'm looking at it, here it should be on the type of visualization, and there should be like a page refresher somewhere. Yeah. I would say I will look into this because my Power BI is actually I don't think the one that I'm looking at is the one that is showing in the Power BI app. Because again, you can always go on the on the Microsoft Power BI page and then see like how to do it. But it seems like I don't have it on my option, which is probably because of my version of Power BI. Probably I need to update it. But yeah, there should be somewhere down here based on what I'm seeing. Or let me actually just share my screen to show you like this is actually this is also possible to do the data refresh in an automatic way. I need. Yeah, and meanwhile, I think if anyone has any other question, then feel free to come up with your questions. Yeah, but yeah, thank you so much for the question. And then I will also include this actually on the presentation, then on the slides on how to actually do it, uh, just to get that automatic refresh of your dashboard when any data set actually comes in into Kobo. Yes, so I found the page where it is actually described. So let me reshare my screen. So this is what we see on the Power BI website. So to actually share it, then you would have something like this, where you just do, click on page refresher, and then you can do this, like you can refresh it on every whatever minute that you can choose, and that's it. So yeah, yeah. But again, I'm gonna look at this, and then I'm also gonna include this into the slides. Yeah. So I hope that answered your question. And if anyone also have any other question, because I think we are running out of time before the closing remark. So please ask. Yeah. Or maybe Win and Wes, if you wanna also chip in, please feel
Yes,
free.
thank you. My other question is, for instance, if we load several data sets in the Power BI, for instance, I have data for several provinces, and I belong to the higher geographical grouping, which is region, and I want to make a regional report from all the four provinces. So I can combine the data from the different data sets only if they have the same field name, or is that um, not required? So I have so the form for each of the data sets should be the same form, right? For me to be able to combine the data from the four provinces into, say, one regional level dashboard.
Yes, that is also a really good question. Thank you. Yes, you need to have the same data column name for your data to be able to actually combine those. And the way you're gonna do the project or the reports that I worked on. Let me reshare my screen so you can have a better idea of how you could do this within Power BI. And I'm also happy to walk you through this and your team through this in case if that is of your interest and if you have any other question, because this isn't enough to cover everything. But the way I did it here is here, as you can see, I have a data set as I said. So this is on a country level. So this I have data set for Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, and Togo, and I put those data set together. I assembled those or I merge them. So not really merge. When we talk about merge in Power BI and also in like any data management type of work, merge is more of a column level data set. So we merge column based on the rows. So we're gonna take so that's more on the row. The row is the ID and the column is what we're merging. But here we're talking about appending data sets. So we have one table and we want to append the other table and so on and so forth. And the way I did it is actually, let me, and this is again the cool thing about Power BI, which is I can go back to one of my project and then open the query, and I'm gonna see all the steps that I've done here. So as you can see for this very type, for this for this data set is, I think it happened before here actually. Let me look at this. Yeah, it happened before here, but what I did is, let me go into, let's say for this. So what I did is that I have this data set, and I had to make sure that the column name here at the top should be the same. So that is a requirement to do it. And then after you can, wait a minute, there's something hiding my screen, but yeah, here we are. Mm, here we go. And one thing is, let me go to this, and there it is, append queries. So what you can do is, once you have everything lined up, same column name, and you can go to append queries, and append query as new, like this. And once that, then you can append or concatenate rows from two tables into a single tables, or from actually three or more tables. So for this case, this is what I did. And you can just do like, I added Cote d'Ivoire, I added also Benin, I added Togo, I added Guinea, and once you click to OK, it's gonna take some time in this case, because this is a pretty big data set. And then once that is done, then you're gonna have another table like this, and they just renamed it to final table. And then once that was done, then what I needed to do actually is one more thing that you want to do here is to, when you append those data set, you actually want to create just a new column somewhere here saying the country, because you want to make sure that you are able to identify in which country it is. So in your case, you would create a column and put region 1 2 3 4, so that when you go into the final table, you will know like which data, I mean, Power BI will know like which rows or which submissions are from which countries, so that you can go ahead and close this, go ahead, and when you create the report, then you would have something like what I did here. You can filter it based on countries, so far you can filter it based on region here, but you have to just create that one column, so that you can identify which region it is, and so on and so forth. So that would be like the main steps to actually combine the data and update it. So I hope that answers your question. And again, if you have any question, we can always follow up through email, and we can have like individual session if that's on your interest on to how to make those things works. So yeah,
Thank
thank you.
you.
So any more questions before I pass it to Wes and Min for the closing remark?
Judging by the silence and the lack of questions in the chat. Oops. Did someone want to come in? If you have any questions, please, yeah, please go ahead.
Min, my mute is going crazy. That was me that came in, and then my computer just sort of glitched out. Sorry.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Rindra, for that presentation. It's been really educational for all of us, including myself. And since we're running a little bit late on time, we can end the session here. Yeah, on my part, I'd just like to thank everyone for excellent participation. It's been a long journey since December last year. This is the end of this particular session, but we're always available for support if you need it. You know, please feel free to reach out via email. We can set up a separate meeting to go over any of your questions or, even a more technical consultation if need be. I'd like to thank our co-presenters, Wes and Rindra, especially for today. And a huge thanks to Miss Melba and Ma'am Christie. And let me pass it on to Wes before we pass the mic also to the colleagues.
Yes, not much more to add from me, Min. I think you put it really well, and I just want to maybe just say that this is the largest group I think we've ever had at a training. So I really hope that most, if not everybody, has really gained something from this, and even more so can learn from each other moving on, because we've had nearly 300 people following along throughout the course of our 3 or 4 days since we started in December. And I really hope there's a nice community of Kobo and Power BI and GEMS users now moving forward within DAR who can really help each other out and start doing very impressive things. And well, let me take that back. Everybody has already started doing very impressive things from what we've seen, but taking it even further than that. So thanks again, Rindra, for making time for the Power BI session. I hope that everybody has really taken to Power BI after Kobo, because obviously it's a really nice complement. And you have this recording, and like Rindra said, you can always reach out if there are any immediate questions. Same goes for Min and I, if there are any Kobo questions. And Miss Melba has been very good at helping organize everything that comes our way. So thanks again, of course, to you, Melba, and I think it's time to maybe give the final word to you.
Thank you very much. I give the floor to Ma'am Christy.
Good afternoon. Now that we have completed the day 3 session with Mr. Min and Mr. West, thank you so much uh, for sharing your time with the DAR, MNE and MIS group regarding this GEMS training on Kobo Toolbox. And we hope again, if we can organize for our support staff that were hired under the project, that we're going to have another session with you. And we hope that our participants, the MNE coordinators and MIS staff that were included in this training, knowledge on Kobo Toolbox. And the mere fact that they are all clapping their hands, and I can see it on screen, they highly appreciated for sharing this training of ASEC Rene and the National Project Director. Thank you so much, Mr. Min and Mr. West and Miss Melba. Thank you guys for staying, and thank you for taking your time, my fellow MNEs and MIS who were able to join us. Thank you so much and good afternoon.
Thank you, ma'am, and also thank you to Rindra. We actually have one final question, if you don't mind. So in the chat box, they were asking if they need the same email
And
address for the Kobo account and the Microsoft account to be able to get to do the API connection.
Yeah, so the answer is that you don't have to have the same to use the same email address actually, as long as you have your
Yeah, Melbs.
Microsoft account, then you can always use Power BI. The explanation I mean behind it is that Power BI is going to take the data set within your Kobo server, but it's not going to actually look at which email did you use, but it's just going to need the account username and account password or the account token, as I you know as we showed in the presentation, to be able to get it. So there is nothing actually related to email address. So yeah, you don't need
Okay.
to have the same. Yeah, you don't need to use
Okay.
the same email address. Yeah, and while you're actually saying this, I think I forgot one thing. Now that I'm seeing the question more into the different types of accounts to be able to share the Power BI dashboard and reports. Actually, like, you do need to have a license to actually be able to share it within your organization. But one way to actually just share it uh, by between colleagues is to just share that Power BI file. So that is one way, and the other way is that you need to get a license, and for you to get a license, actually there is the free trial. I think it's 60 or 90 days that Microsoft gives you, so you can always use those trials. When you actually want to share a dashboard with someone using the Power BI service. Otherwise, you will need to have that license. And for me, especially since within the World Bank, we can ask actually license. So I already have it all together within my Microsoft other license like Excel and all of those. But for you, if that's not the case, then you would have to acquire a license if you actually want to use this for the long term. But for the short term, we can always use the free version or the free trial for the pro license. So that was one thing that I forgot to mention. Thank you. Yeah.
Mhm. And you can create a Microsoft account with personal email. You don't need organization email, right?
Yes. You can create it within Gmail account, the same as what I have. I have one with Gmail and one with my the bank email. So yeah, you should be able to create with any personal email that you have. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, and my question for Min and Wes is, will the certificate be coming from your unit or from within DAR? And yeah.
So we have a certificate template. We will have to have a program to automate the creation of these certificates, but we need the certificate in a certain format. So we will have to send. I'm sure, Melba, we can send that to you, and you
Yeah.
can send it to the right person to sort of fill out that Excel sheet, and then we can basically run the script we have to create all of these certificates, and then we'll probably share them back with a via a zipped folder with all 300 just to let people take their certificate from there or something. We'll have to see how we distribute those, but as we will start by sending you the format so that we can at least get everybody's names correctly entered onto that sheet.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Of course, and thanks again, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
All right, bye, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone, and bye. And please, my Wes and Min, please sleep because it's pretty late now.
Thank you,
Bye.
Rindra. You're always concerned for our sleep. I appreciate that.
All right.
See you all soon po.
Thanks, Rendra. Thank you, everyone.